There are houses that feel alive, not because they are filled with laughter, family, or love, but because the walls themselves seem to breathe, because the floors seem to remember, because the shadows whisper when no one is around. One such house stands in a quiet suburban neighborhood of Amityville, New York. To the ordinary eye, 112 Ocean Avenue looks like the perfect dream home. White painted walls, tall windows shaped like half moons, a neat front lawn that rolls gently down to the edge of a canal. It is the kind of place where a family imagines safety, comfort, and a lifetime of memories. But if you look closer, the windows don't look like windows at all. They look like eyes. Watching. Waiting, and inside that house, something waits for the next family brave or foolish enough to cross its threshold. The Lutz family moves in. In December of 1975, George and Kathy Lutz were looking for a new beginning. They had 3 children from Kathy's previous marriage, and George, though not their biological father, loved them deeply. The family wanted a home big enough for all of them, a place where they could start fresh. When the real estate agent showed them 112 Ocean Avenue, Kathy's heart leapt. It was everything she wanted: a sprawling colonial house, a boathouse, a swimming pool, plenty of space. And the price was almost unbelievable, $80,000. But there was a catch. The real estate agent hesitated before saying it. Then finally, "You do know about the murders, don't you?" Kathy froze. "What murders?" The agent explained. Just a year earlier, on the night of November 13th, 1974, a young man named Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. had taken a rifle and executed his entire family inside this very house. His parents, his 2 brothers, his 2 sisters, all shot in their beds as they slept. It was a massacre that shocked the country. And now, the house stood empty. Kathy looked at George nervously. She could feel the weight of the story pressing on her. But George squeezed her hand. "It's just a house," he said firmly. "Bad things happen everywhere. Look at it, Kathy. It's perfect for us." And with that decision, the Lutz family purchased the house. They believed they were getting a bargain. They had no idea of the price they were truly about to pay. The first night moving day came, and the Lutzes carried their belongings inside with the help of friends. There was laughter, there was excitement, and for a while, the house seemed ordinary. But the very first night, something felt wrong. At 3:15 in the morning, George awoke with a start. The room was freezing cold, though the furnace was working fine. He could see his breath hanging in the air. He sat up, frowning, and wandered toward the front window. Outside, the street was empty. Snow lay untouched on the ground. Yet when his eyes shifted toward the house's distinctive quarter-moon windows, he felt a chill race down his spine. Those windows, those eyes, were staring at him. He blinked, rubbed his face, and told himself he was overtired. He went back to bed. But sleep did not come easy. And every night afterward, George found himself waking at exactly the same time, 3:15 a.m. The atmosphere shifts. Within days, the Lutzes noticed the house was not like any other. Strange odors would fill the air. Foul, choking stenches that had no source. Sometimes sulfur, sometimes rotting meat. And then, just as suddenly, the smell would vanish. Green, slimy liquid would ooze from the walls and ceilings. Doors slammed shut without warning. Windows stuck or flew open. The temperature inside the house dropped inexplicably, no matter how high George turned up the heat. The children began to talk about things that made Kathy's skin crawl. Missy, the youngest, often sat in her room chatting to someone who wasn't there. When Kathy asked who she was speaking to, Missy replied innocently, "Jody, she's my friend." "What does Jody look like?" Kathy asked. Missy smiled sweetly. "She's a pig, a big pig with red eyes." Kathy's stomach turned, but she forced a laugh, telling herself it was only a child's imagination. But then she saw it too, just for an instant. 2 red glowing eyes staring at her from the window of Missy's room. George changes. As the days passed, George became a different man. He grew irritable, withdrawn. His skin looked pale, his beard unkempt. He was always cold, always shivering, no matter how many logs he fed into the fireplace. Every night at 3:15 he woke up. Sometimes he would wander the halls. Sometimes he would stand at the boathouse staring into the dark water. He began snapping at Kathy and the children. He felt as if something was whispering in his mind, something pulling him away from his family. Kathy watched helplessly as the man she loved seemed to unravel before her eyes. The first violent signs. One night, Kathy awoke to the sound of children screaming. She rushed into their room and froze. The beds were shaking violently. The children clung to their blankets, their eyes wide with terror, as if an invisible force was trying to rip them away. Suddenly, the mattresses lifted off the floor entirely, hovering in the air. Then they slammed back down with a crash. The children sobbed as Kathy pulled them close. In the basement, George often heard voices, low chanting like a strange ritual in a language he could not understand. When he investigated, he found nothing, only shadows. But one night he discovered something scrawled across the basement wall in red. "Get out." The words were fresh, wet. The priest desperate, Kathy contacted a Catholic priest, Father Mancuso, asking him to bless the house. When Father arrived, he walked room to room sprinkling holy water and whispering prayers. At first all was quiet, but when he entered one particular bedroom upstairs, the room where one of the DeFeo children had died, he felt an unseen hand strike his face. And then a voice, loud and guttural, filled the room. "Get out." The priest staggered back, terrified. His hands trembled. He turned and fled the house, his face pale as chalk. Later, he called George and Kathy, his voice shaking through the phone line. "Leave that house. Do you hear me? Leave immediately. It is not safe." But George dismissed it. Maybe he didn't want to believe. Or maybe the house already had its grip on him. The nights grow. Worse from then on, the haunting escalated. Doors ripped from their hinges, windows shattered without cause. Black stains spread across the toilets and sinks. Swarms of flies appeared in the dead of winter, buzzing angrily in locked rooms. At night, George would hear marching footsteps as if a phantom army moved through the hallways. Kathy would wake to find herself levitating above the bed, her arms flailing helplessly in the air. And always, at 3:15 in the morning, George would wake. Each time he felt drawn to something darker, something violent. One night, standing by the boathouse, he looked back at the windows. Two glowing red eyes stared at him through the glass. In the snow nearby, he found massive cloven hoofprints, pig's feet, too large to be natural, and they led away into the trees, only to vanish.